Welcome to my Hebrew channel, Mila Braika. Today I'm looking at a principle that operates in this world. It's something that's universal. It works for works for everybody, on everybody. Everybody has to live by it. And it's a concept we find in most of the scripture. Find it here in Psalms. Evil slays the wicked. In other words, there are wicked in the world, most certainly. We've seen lots of evil. But that evilness comes back at the person generating the evil. So it bounces back, it comes back at you. So it's a principle I wish many people who are doing evil things would recognize, that when you commit evil and malice in the world, don't be surprised that bounces back in your own face. So evil slays the wicked. Tem motet is and here we have two words that are very similar here. Rasha, Ra. Now, this one's masculine, Rasha, very well known. Also see the plural quite often too. Rashaim, see it a lot in the Psalms, see it a lot in the Proverbs. And here's Ra'ah. Ra often is just simply Rashain for evil. But when you put a hey at the end, it makes it feminine. And the fact that this evil here is feminine, it means that becomes then the subject of this verb here. The verb here is feminine, beginning with a tau here. So you get tau, mem, holem, tau, tau. So lots of taus here in a row. I'll get to that in a minute. And so this is a feminine verb. So out of these two words, which one's the subject? This one's going to be a subject. This one's going to be the action. So because the subject establishes the gender of the verb here. So verb's feminine, this word's feminine, this wouldn't be the subject of that one. Okay. Otherwise, it might be pretty hard to figure out which is which if both of them would be of the same gender. But here, the feminine gender of Ra'ah. Ra'ah, often words that end in comments hey, like Adam, Adama, man and earth, Sadiq, Sadiqah, Hokam, Hokmah, are principle of something. So there's a principle of evil. The principle of evil, the condition of evil, evilness, we could also say, if we wanted to get a little bit more complicated here. You don't have to do that, but evil was very well understood by itself. But evilness, ra'ah, slays, kills, makes dead. Motes, motes, to kill, to murder. Tomatet, rasha. So evil slays the wicked. We find the phrase in Psalm 34, 21, and 22, and here it's Tam Motet Rasha Ra'ah. Okay, so as I said, Ra'ah is the subject of this particular phrase right here. So evil makes dead. Okay, Tamatet. I have the ancient Paleo-Sinaitic, Proto-Sinaitic forms of the lettering here, and it's a mark. Okay, mark. Incidentally, in ancient times, the Tau and the Tet started out somewhat similar with a mark. The tau is simply a mark like this, and the tet was one with a circle around it. So it carries it a little bit even into the modern way of way it's written here. I don't see any tets in here. But anyway, and the tau is far more common. It's also used in the formation of verbs, as we see here with the tau here in the front. That starts out this verb in a feminine singular prefix form here. So you got tau, mem, vav, tau, tau. And so mark. Each mark sets the spot that requires getting killed here. So yeah, very emphatic. We find this, I'm comparing it to mot tamutun, words of the snake, the serpent, to Eve. He said, lo, mot tamutun, you most certainly will not die. Repetition of any verb in Hebrew, it makes it emphatic. So this is mot tamotun, certainly will not die, and even an emphatic nun on the end here. And again, we see tau, tau, tau again, all the way through. Very emphatic as to, hey, this most certainly will happen. So, tamotet, rasha, ra'a, ve shone, shone. This I'm going to take this as a closed syllable here, so the shua is going to be silent. There's one here establishing a sin, the other one establishing an o. Okay, show, nay, hate, those who hate, plural form here, those hating. Participle looks like a participle, PL participle with a ascetic. So shene, sadik, the righteous, those who hate the righteous. Yeah, Samu, they will be punished. Yeshamu, okay, they will be punished. We'll see this also here, okay, Yeshamu. This one's incidentally has a comments here, and the reason it's comments is because it's a pausal form because of the siluk right here. This one doesn't have the pausal, almost close to pausal of the revia, but not enough to bring it to full pausal. So Yeshamu, and then so here it is, they will be punished, and here they will not be punished. So lo Yeshamu, this is in reference to the righteous ones. So po de, this is rescues, rescues, redeems. Jehovah, Jehovah redeems, rescues. Nefesh, the life or soul. Avdav, of his servants, okay, plural form here, the construct plural here with a suffix pronoun, and the reference to the pronoun is Jehovah here, his servants of him. Velo, and not, Yeshamu, and they will not be punished. Kol, all. Incidentally, this there's a matek here. All it does is simply separate out this syllable, but we're going to keep the kol as a kamasatu. So kol hoshim bo, all those who take refuge in him. Also ending in a suffix pronoun here, very similar to this one. Sometimes I wish they'd stick a holum on the top of this just to point out it's a suffix pronoun, but they don't. But it's still singular. Okay, Avadav, his servants of him, and in him, those who take refuge, those who seek refuge in him. So it's an operating principle here. Those who are doing evil will be repaid by that very same evil. The same evil will actually tamotet, in other words, comes back and kills those people. It's this, and I call this an operating principle of the universe. This is how things work all over for everybody. This is something everybody has to understand. And sometimes I said, I wish that people would understand it. This is what happens. And think forward. Think of what happens. In the New Testament, I picked an example of this. When Jesus was arrested, one of his friends, Peter probably, at that moment, one of those with Jesus reached out his hand, drew his sword. He struck the high priest's slave, cut off his ear. Now, Jesus, of course, took the ear and healed it again, restored it. But then Jesus said something very interesting, and this is a principle of how things work. Then Jesus told him, put your sword back in its place, because all who take up a sword will perish by the sword. Now, incidentally, Jesus had already said to his disciples, hey, are you carrying a sword? Oh, that's fine. That sword was for defense. It wasn't for offense. And then this is what we have here. If you're going to take your sword, you can take your weapon and take it up against somebody else. Don't be surprised that that will come back and you will perish. Take up a sword, killing somebody else, and that most certainly will come back at you. And so, as I say, operating principle in the universe, live by it, understand it, think it forward, think it through. Old saying in the Spanish language, if you're going to do vengeance, go out and you have to dig two graves, one for the one you might be able to kill, but one most certainly for yourself, because you will suffer the consequences of what happens. And this very directly. And if you aren't punished in this life, most certainly in the life to come, or in the judgment to come, most certainly that will come at you. So think it through very clearly. Have a clear mind and hold this whole matter. So much of this has been happening in recent months, and so I feel led to make this meditation and express the principles that are operating here for everyone. So God bless and sustain you and protect you in these coming days. Until later.